All right, let's dive right into time mastery. This deep dive is all about MAB's book and unlocking your potential and all that good stuff. And I think it's especially relevant, for everyone listening who is super busy and really wants to make the most of their time.
Yeah, definitely. It's not just about squeezing more into your day, but really maximizing every hour. And MAB offers some pretty practical tools to help us do just that.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, how about the Eisenhower matrix? It's a visual tool for figuring out your priorities, which I think can be super helpful when you're feeling overwhelmed.
I've heard of the Eisenhower matrix,
Yeah.
but honestly, I'm not totally sure how to use it.
It's actually pretty straightforward. Imagine like a square divided into 4 sections, and each section represents a different level of urgency and importance. So you've got urgent and important,
Sad.
important but not urgent, urgent but not important, and then not urgent and not important.
Ah, okay, I'm starting to see it now. So like a big work deadline that's got to be done tomorrow would be urgent and important, right?
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. We often mistake urgency for importance. But this matrix helps you see the difference. So things like planning for the future or personal development, those are important, but not urgent. They're crucial for the long haul, but they don't have an immediate deadline. So they often get pushed aside.
Ugh, yeah. Tell me about it. I'm so guilty of that.
But that's where the matrix comes in handy. It helps you visualize those important but not urgent tasks and prioritize them before they become urgent. You could even schedule specific time blocks for those things, just like you would for those urgent deadlines.
Okay, that's a really good point. It's like giving those tasks the same weight as those urgent ones. So what about all those unexpected things that just pop up throughout the day?
Those often fall under urgent but not important things, like, interruptions or requests that could actually be delegated to someone else.
Ah, I see. So it's about learning to say no or figuring out how to streamline those things. Exactly.
Mm.
And then, of course, you've got that last quadrant, not urgent, not important. And I think we all know it lives there.
The time wasters.
Bingo! Social media, mindless scrolling, you name it. But the matrix helps you identify those time wasters so you can minimize them. Now, even with, a good plan, focusing can still be tough.
Oh, for sure. My mind is constantly racing.
Well, that's where the Pomodoro Technique comes in. It's all about breaking your work into more manageable chunks.
So instead of getting overwhelmed by this huge task, I could use the Pomodoro Technique to break it down.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You work in focused intervals of like 25 minutes, followed by a short 5-minute break. And those breaks are really key. They help you recharge and prevent burnout.
So it's not about working nonstop for hours on end.
Right. It's about working smarter, not harder. There's also a variation called flow time, where you essentially work in longer stretches when you're in that super focused zone.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Pomodoro is good for those shorter bursts of focus,
Yeah.
and flow time is more about riding that wave of concentration when it hits.
Exactly. And imagine combining those techniques with planning your day the night before. You wake up knowing exactly what you need to tackle.
Okay, planning the night before is something I seriously need to work on. I'm more of a fly-by-the-seat-of-my-pants kind of person. Does it really make that much of a difference?
It can. It helps you reduce what's called decision fatigue. Making all those little decisions in the morning can really drain your energy. Having a plan in place frees up your mental space so you can start your day with more intention.
I like the sound of that. Ending the day with a plan instead of just scrambling to get things done.
Yeah.
I can see how that would set a more positive tone for the next day.
And you could even incorporate things like gratitude journaling or goal setting into your evening routine, just to end the day on a good note.
I love that. Speaking of using time effectively, MAB also talks about leveraging technology.
Oh, yeah. Tech can be a huge help, especially task management apps like Todoist or Trello or Asana. They can help you stay organized and on top of everything.
I've heard of those, but I've never actually tried them. What's the difference between them?
Well, Todoist is super simple to use, great for, individual tasks. Trello uses those visual boards, so it's great for collaborating and seeing the big picture. And Asana is a bit more comprehensive, ideal for teams.
So many choices.
There are. And then there's good old Google Calendar for scheduling, which, has features for time blocking and color coding your day. So you can really visually map out your time.
So I could use Google Calendar to block out time for certain tasks
Mhm.
and then use an app like Todoist or Trello to manage the details of those tasks.
Exactly. And don't forget about apps designed specifically for focus, like Forest or Focus at Will.
Okay, now those sound interesting. Tell me more about those.
Well, Forest is kind of cool. It uses like a gamified approach to help you stay focused. So you can plant a virtual tree that grows as you work. And if you get distracted, the tree dies. It's surprisingly motivating.
Okay, I have to check that one out. But with all this tech, don't you think there's a risk of becoming too reliant on it?
That's a good point. While technology can be super helpful, it's all about finding that balance.
Oh,
Maybe try incorporating some tech-free time into your day, like starting your morning with a good old-fashioned pen and paper to-do list.
that's a great idea.
Mm.
Sometimes I think we forget about the simple things. Okay, so we've got the Eisenhower Matrix, the Pomodoro Technique, all these cool apps.
Mm.
What else?
Well, let's talk about goals, because ultimately time mastery is about achieving more, right? And that's where SMART goals come in.
I've definitely heard that term thrown around. What does it actually mean?
SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So basically, they provide a really clear framework for setting goals that you're more likely to actually achieve.
Okay. I think I need an example.
All right, so let's say your goal is to be healthier. A SMART goal might be something like work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your overall goal, and it has a time element.
Ah, okay. That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
So it's not just about having a vague idea in your head.
Yeah.
It's about breaking it down and making it actionable.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm setting SMART goals. I'm using technology wisely. I'm even going to try planning my day the night before. Any other strategies for making the most of my time?
Well, one super effective technique is batching similar tasks together.
Batching, what's that?
It's basically grouping similar activities and dedicating specific blocks of time to just focus on them. So instead of checking email like 100 times throughout the day, you might designate an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon for just email.
That makes so much sense. I'm constantly jumping back and forth between different tasks. I can see how that would be a total energy drain.
It totally is. By batching your work, you minimize what's called context switching, which can really boost your efficiency and productivity. You can apply this to all sorts of things, writing phone calls, errands, you name it.
So it's about creating that sense of flow in your day instead of feeling like you're always putting out fires.
Yep, exactly. But even with the best strategies, we all have those sneaky time wasters that creep into our day.
Ugh, tell me about it. What are some of the biggest culprits?
Well, MAB points to social media multitasking and poorly structured meetings.
Well, he's not wrong. Those are definitely universal struggles.
They are. But once you're aware of them, you can start to take control. For social media, maybe set some app limits or designate specific times for checking your feeds. For multitasking, try single tasking instead. Focus on one thing at a time, and you'll probably be amazed at how much more you get done.
It's so true. I'm such a multitasker by nature, but I know it's not always the most effective approach. What about meetings? Any tips for avoiding meeting madness?
Oh, yeah. Meetings can be a real time suck if they're not managed well, but there are definitely things you can do. First of all, have a clear agenda. Outline the purpose, the desired outcomes, and the key discussion points. Don't be afraid to set time limits and stick to them. And be selective about which meetings you actually attend.
That's good advice. I need to get better at protecting my time.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more concept I wanted to touch on, the 2-minute rule.
Ah, yes, the 2-minute rule. It's incredibly simple, but surprisingly effective.
What is it?
It's basically this. If you encounter a task that can be completed in 2 minutes or less, do it immediately.
No delaying. Just get it done.
Exactly. It prevents those small tasks from piling up and becoming bigger chores later on, like, responding to a quick email or filing a document. It's all about building that sense of momentum.
I like it. It's like tricking yourself into being productive.
Yeah.
By getting those little things out of the way, you free up mental space for the more important stuff.
Right. And, we'll delve deeper into the 2-minute rule in our next segment, along with exploring the art of delegation and the importance of self-care.
Okay, this has been a great start to our deep dive. We've covered so much ground from the Eisenhower Matrix to the Pomodoro Technique to SMART goals and batching tasks.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's much more to uncover. So be sure to join us for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more strategies for making time your ally.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into time mastery. Before the break, we were talking about those little tasks that can really eat up our time. So let's dive into that 2-minute rule, because I'm all about those quick wins.
Oh yeah, the 2-minute rule is all about that. It's so simple, but surprisingly effective. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, just do it right away.
No messing around.
Yeah.
No adding it to the to-do list.
Nope, just knock it out. It really helps prevent those small tasks from piling up and turning into this big mental burden.
Uh-huh.
Think about quickly replying to an email or filing a document. It's a small action, but it creates a sense of momentum.
Yeah, it's like tricking your brain into being productive.
Mhm.
And once you get those little things out of the way, you have more mental space for those bigger, more important tasks.
Exactly. It's all about building that sense of accomplishment, which can then motivate you to tackle bigger challenges. And speaking of tackling things effectively, let's talk about delegation.
Oh yeah, delegation. I know I need to get better at that.
Yeah.
It can be hard to let go of control, though.
I get it, but it's such a valuable skill. First, you want to identify tasks that don't necessarily require your unique skills or expertise. Ask yourself, could someone else do this just as well, or maybe even better?
Okay, so it's not just about offloading tasks. It's about being strategic and assigning them to the right people.
Right. You're leveraging the strengths of your team or other resources. Then clear communication is key. Be super specific about the task, the desired outcome, the deadline. Any preferences you have?
Yeah, a lack of clarity can definitely lead to misunderstandings and more work in the long run.
For sure. So set clear expectations from the start. And once you delegate, try to resist the urge to micromanage. Trust the person you've delegated to and give them the space to do their best work.
That's where I struggle the most, letting go. But I know it's important.
It is both for you and for the person you're delegating to. It gives them a chance to grow and develop their skills.
Okay, so what about tasks that I can't delegate within my team? Are there other options?
Well, that's where outsourcing comes in. Platforms like Fiverr or Upwork, they offer a huge pool of talent for all sorts of tasks, from graphic design to virtual assistants.
So it's like having an extended team without actually having to hire more people?
Exactly. Outsourcing can be a great way to access specialized skills and free up your time to focus on those core responsibilities. And speaking of focusing on what's important, let's not forget about ourselves. We touched on self-care earlier. How does that fit into all of this?
Yeah, self-care is something I'm always trying to get better at. But it's so easy to feel guilty about taking time for yourself, especially when you're busy.
I know, it's a common struggle, but MAB really emphasizes the importance of self-care throughout the book. And it's not about pampering yourself. It's about making those conscious choices to prioritize your well-being.
So it's not selfish. It's actually essential.
Exactly. Self-care is an investment. When you take care of your physical and mental health, you're better equipped to handle challenges and perform at your best.
It's like a productivity booster in disguise.
Right. So how can we actually incorporate self-care into our already busy schedules? Start small. Integrate simple acts into your daily routine, like a short meditation, a walk during your lunch break, listening to music, anything that brings you joy and recharges you.
I love that. It's not about these grand gestures. It's about those small, consistent actions.
Exactly. And by making self-care a non-negotiable part of your routine, you're sending a powerful message to yourself that your well-being matters.
That's such an important message.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Prioritizing tasks, setting smart goals, leveraging technology, batching tasks, the 2-minute rule, delegation, outsourcing, and self-care. What's the final piece that ties all of this together?
Well, MAB spends a good chunk of the book talking about the importance of review and reflection.
So it's not just about planning and doing. We need to actually step back and evaluate how things are going.
Exactly. Regular review and reflection are crucial for staying on track and making adjustments as needed. And he recommends having a structured approach. Ask yourself, what went well this week? What were some challenges? What did I learn?
That's a really good framework. I think a lot of people just keep pushing forward without taking that time to pause and reflect.
Yeah, it's so important to do that. And by reflecting on your experiences, you gain valuable insights that can then inform your future actions. You're basically turning time management into a continuous learning process.
That's a great way to put it. So this review and reflection, that's the glue that holds everything together.
I think so. And that brings us to the end of part 2 of our deep dive.
Already. Wow, time flies when you're having fun, I guess.
It does. And we've explored a ton of strategies for taking control of your time, boosting productivity, and achieving your goals. But in our final segment, we'll share MAB's concluding thoughts on the transformative power of time mastery. And we'll leave you with a powerful call to action.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
This deep dive has been so insightful already. I'm eager to hear those final words of wisdom and figure out how I can apply these principles to my own life.
We'll be back in a jiffy to wrap things up and leave you with some food for thought.
Sounds good. Welcome back. So we've explored a ton of strategies from MEB's book. I'm really curious to hear his concluding thoughts on time mastery.
After all the practical techniques he offers, he reminds us that it's not about achieving perfection.
That's a relief. I mean, who can be perfect all the time?
Exactly. It's more about embracing progress. There will be days when we're super productive and others when we're not.
Totally.
Yeah,
Some days I feel like I can conquer the world, and others I can barely get out of bed.
that's totally normal. And MAB acknowledges that. We're going to slip up, we're going to get distracted. We're human.
It's about being kind to ourselves, too, I guess.
Definitely, self-compassion is so important in this whole process.
It's like we're all works in progress, right?
Exactly. And he emphasizes that, time mastery is an ongoing thing. It's something we cultivate over time. It's not like a quick fix.
Yeah, it's more like a journey, a lifelong pursuit.
Exactly. And the rewards are definitely worth it. When we master our time, we gain more than just hours in the day.
It's about more than just checking things off a list.
Right. It's about having more control over our lives, more purpose, more fulfillment.
It's about creating space for the things that truly matter.
Exactly. Our passions, our relationships, our dreams. And MAB challenges us to think about our legacy, too.
Our legacy.
Yeah. Like, what impact do we want to make on the world? What do we want to be remembered for?
Wow, those are some deep questions.
They are. And they remind us that, time is our most precious resource. It's not renewable. So how we use it really matters.
It shapes who we become.
And he leaves us with this final question. What is the one thing you'll do differently with your time after this deep dive?
That's a great question. It really makes you think about everything we've discussed and how we can apply it to our own lives.
Even making one small change can have a ripple effect.
Like adopting the 2-minute rule or planning my day the night before.
Exactly. Those small changes can really add up,
Right.
and they can make a big difference in our productivity and our well-being.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about and a whole toolkit of strategies to try.
That's what it's all about. And remember, you have the power to unlock your potential and achieve your goals.
It all starts with making time our ally.
Exactly. So use your time wisely and go make those dreams a reality.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into time mastery. Thanks for joining us.
And remember, time mastery is a journey. It's not a destination.
There will be bumps along the way, but keep learning, keep growing, and keep making every moment count. Till next time.